No, far from it. There's a great resurgence of interest in the theatre organ as a musical instrument. They've come to hear the theatre organ because they like our sort of music. Typical theatre organ sound.
Thank you. Hello. Whereas Ben-Hur had a cast of thousands, my music has a cast of only 5. Apart from me, that means John Amos and Frank Muir versus Ian Wallace and Dennis Norton.
I must admit the original picture was rather the English village, rather a small village at that, and very much a spring, green grass and all that sort of thing. But I think it's, I mean, having lived here now for 17 years, I think that it's certainly not inapplicable to the Australian scene.
Almost all, as it were, live. It was played by orchestras in the studio, and there were an enormous number of them. The BBC had 8 staff orchestras. Now you think about it, 8 staff orchestras, each with several programmes a week, and each one wanting to do their own distinctive style.
Yes, it has affected the music that I write, because for many years I was in the on the bandwagon of writing background music for television and plays and newsreels. And of course, the style of music used has changed so much now. I think with the advent of the Peter Gunn music by Henry Mancini, it started a trend of writing jazz as background music. And of course, we've all had to adopt that style too and forget about the grand light music, full orchestra sound, which is really, quite frankly, a bit old-fashioned now.
To the point where I knew the nuts and bolts of my trade. I learned the hard way by being thrown in at the deep end in the early days of the SABC, and I very soon learned that music was pliable and had to be pliable for the entertainment industry. I was prepared to make it longer, shorter, happier, smarter, sadder, at the stroke of a conductor's baton.
And I was briefed very beautifully on this. They wanted something melodic, but not too much so. They wanted something rhythmic, but it mustn't be jazz. They wanted something exciting, but it mustn't be too thrilling. And in the end, I was dragged out into the street in a typical Manchester day, pouring with rain, and we looked up at a little alley, a bit like Coronation Street as it is now, and suddenly the sun broke through the clouds, and the director of the whole epic said, "That's the music I want." So I said, "Well, why didn't you say so in the first place?" and came back here and wrote it. It was rather dramatically recorded too, because we recorded it in London. There wasn't time for me to find anybody up in Manchester. I mean, there are fine musicians there, I believe. We recorded it in London on a line. I played it in London on a line through to Manchester. So it travelled a long way.